Before we'll be able to sew our beautiful style as you see it, we first would have to draft our basic bodice. This is the front pattern and that is the back pattern. This is something that I have several videos on, for which reason I will not go over again. And so you can just check the description box. I'll put a link to this video on it. You would also check out on the top right corner of your screen. You'd also see that there is a link placed there. You can just tap on it and then follow up on how to draft the basic bodice. With this, we'll go ahead and do the modification. We'll first do that of the front pattern, then to the back pattern. Because of the asymmetric nature of our neckline, I've had to use this same pattern to derive another pattern which has the full front. Next, we would measure 6.5 inches from the shoulder here all the way downwards. This is where the cap of the breast will start from. We get 1 inch when measured, and so we want to extend this to equal to the 2 inches we have at the waistline. And so we are doing half of an inch to the left and half of an inch to the right. Then we draw lines to connect these 2 points all the way to where the shoulder dart ends. At the center line here and on the shoulder to nipple line, we'll move upwards by 1.5 inches. To ensure that joining this side of the cup and that side together, the two match exactly the same, we'll measure the distance from the underbust all the way to the tip here and compare the same with that of the other one we see on the right. Now with this, we'll go ahead and draw an S-like shape to enter the underarm. We are to draw this other neckline, and so we'll fold this dart onto the other. And we're marking 1.5 inches on this side. From the tip here all the way to the top here is giving us 3 inches. And so we'll mark 3 inches on this side as well. It's only serving as a guide. And draw a line from here to also touch the middle line. Then we'll go ahead and cut this off. We're going to join from the underbust to the nipple using a curve so that we don't leave this straight. So the other neckline is going to start from this part through the front here all the way to the other shoulder. So what you're doing is that we'll first cut the body and then trace this onto another paper so that we get the top part. The neck actually starts from here through this part all the way to the other side of the shoulder, and that's what I just drew here. So this is it traced. I'll just deepen it to make it more visible. Now we go ahead and then cut these various pieces. We had left it initially because of the upper part of the neckline. So with these cuts, we go ahead and cut our fabric, our lining, and then our interface. For the back, our shoulder length is 2 inches, which will start from here inward. Then we'll draw a line to connect it to this very dart. We're going to cut this and that off so that we fold this dart onto the other. Right, so we'll use this to also cut the fabric, the facing, and then the lining. So this is it with the fabrics, the lining, and the interface cut. We have fused the interface with the lining and then our fashion fabric itself. Once we have this, we're going to join the pieces together. We're joining this to that. So we're going to stitch this. We'll go ahead and stitch this also onto that. We'll do same with the linings. So this is what we get after we have joined the pieces together. This is our lining, which has been interfaced, hardly, and then you can also see that of our fashion fabric. Very well structured. Now when we go inside, what you do is that we've drawn this very line at the center front. We've marked these other lines. All these are going to be our boning channels where we're going to place our ridgeline bones. And so we're going to stitch them. Bear in mind, I've always been saying that when you have to fix such a bone, all that you do is that you leave about 1 inch, about half of an inch on top here, half of an inch down here, whichever seam allowance you use, so that you don't end up stitching on the boning itself. And so we see this. We're going to stitch this on, leaving a few allowance on top and then beneath, and we'll repeat same for these other sides. So that's exactly what you're going to do now. We're going to stitch them on the various channels. Bear in mind, this is also included. We're going to do them all. After we've gone ahead to fix our boning into the various channels, we're going to stitch the lining with the fashion fabric good size together, like this. We're going to run stitches along the neckline, and after that we will top stitch and turn it to the good side. And so with the keyhole neckline, what we have done is that we've also cut the interface, the lining, and the fashion fabric itself. So as it stands now, we're first going to finish the inner part of it, and so we'll put them good sides together, and then we'll go ahead and run stitches along this line, leaving the top, the armhole, and the side seam unsewn. And so after we've gone ahead to stitch this, we'll also cut a fabric on bias, and then we're going to stitch this all along the neckline. And so I've first folded it into two like this, and then we're going to stitch it onto the neckline as we see here, so that we're able to turn it to the wrong side and then hem it in place. And so this is it, neatly stitched and also turned to the wrong side. We're going to hem it in place. Now the next step would be to fix the bodice itself, and then we'll place this right on. So we're going to stitch this side and that side together. Then we join the back and then the front bodice together. So once we are done stitching this, we'll go ahead and join the shoulders together. And so we are sandwiching the front into the back. Then we'll go ahead and stitch. This is just a normal skirt pattern, pencil skirt. This is the front pattern. And then we've just flipped it open like this. There's also the back pattern, which has the zipper allowance also added. And so with the front, where we have the asymmetric design, what you do is that we just placed it on like this. You just go ahead and then cut this design, making this part a little longer than the straight hemline. And I've also folded the edges inward. And so this is how we're going to patch this on top of our skirt. We're going to stitch this on, but then we make sure to finish this part first. And so I'm going to use hem tape to, hem the edges. Because of the fringes we are going to attach to the down part, we'll make sure that during the stitching, we'll stitch all the way to about this portion, and then we leave a little bit for us to be able to stitch it here. So we'll just go ahead and then do that and then come back to continue. After we have joined the back to the front and the shoulders, we'll go ahead and join the skirt to the top. And so we'll just match them good size together like this. We would also place the lining on top so that we go ahead and stitch at a go. So the top is left in between the two. We do this, repeat same for the back skirt and then the back top as well. After attaching the skirt to the top of both the front and back patterns, and we'll go ahead to also fix our zipper. Once we've fixed our zipper and also closed the center back, the next step would be to shape the dress. And so we're going to take off our seam allowance. So with the stitching, I made sure I left a little allowance at the edge here so that we'll be able to fix our fringes from there downwards. So we'll go ahead and just stitch them on the hemline. And that would be all. We fixed our sleeve and then our beautiful dress is done.